Baby, please don't take my soul. I need a little something of my own, a little place to call a home. Baby, please don't take my soul. Baby, please don't take my soul. I need a little something of my own, a little place to call a home. Baby, please don't take my soul. It's not for sale, I bought it for myself. Let them vultures know that it's sold. I'll give you everything but myself, including my soul. I'll give you everything, everything. This is a global delivery. Just not all of me, all of me. Gone from man to legacy. Gave the truth, but not entirely. But my folks, they still admire me. Just not all of me, all of me. Went from child to history. Now I got evident insecurities. Can I give it all, give you all of me? That I gave you everything, everything, except what was inside of me. Baby, please don't take my soul. I need a little something of my own, a little place to call a home. Baby, please don't take my soul.
This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment or diagnosis. E.R. Hunter is not a doctor, and his experience holds no merit when it comes to your well-being, condition, or livelihood, or your health. Always seek the advice of your physician who holds a PhD or a nurse practitioner or other qualified health providers with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition such as COVID or alcoholism or drug addiction. So kids, just be mindful. Don't detox at home. I'm here on behalf of the Rhetorical Sake offering this disclaimer. And on today's episode, there will be a description of risky behavior. And why? Because we can. And the world deserves to know.
Welcome to a little Please Don't Take My Soul. Wrote that song a while ago. I will say it's inspired by Justin Nozuka's She took my money and my fame, but she didn't leave a clue of where she was going to. Well, my baby up and left me alone. I love me some Nozuka, yo. Anyway, yeah. But you talk about praying for your soul, praying for your own well-being. This episode has been almost 2 weeks exactly in the making. And, every time I go through a detox, it gets to that point where I'm on my knees and I'm praying and I'm like, God, I know I told you I'd never do this again. I know I told you, but if you could please get me through this one more time. At least I'll try. I'll try to get it right. And that's the God honest truth. I used to say, I won't do it again. And I don't know. I don't know if that's true. But I know at that moment when I'm going through the motions of detox and withdrawal from alcohol or whatever drug, I used to do, those are some dire points. So as an artist, as a creative, I get to bleed that out in song, whether or not there's music to it, whether or not it makes sense, whether or not it's rhythmic. That's not my concern. My concern is sharing my experience, my strength, my hope, and my higher power with the world. So thank you so much for tuning in. On today's episode, we're discussing the epic battle of 2020 that I faced leading up to this here, the new year. I wanted to call it a COVID Christmas, but I won't give COVID that much credit because I have been here fighting two diseases simultaneously, two pandemics. I think there's an ongoing pandemic of addiction and alcoholism that is not being addressed because that would take away a lot of people's crutches, a lot of people's staples. And we know now statistically that adults, Americans in particular, are consuming almost 300% more alcohol. Mental illness, mental health issues, depression, anxiety are on the rise due to the circumstances that we are all enduring and witnessing. Unfortunately, I think there's also the fact that we're not all experiencing it the same way. I can get upset, I can get frustrated, and I can get envious and jealous. A lot of people I rub shoulders with, or I'm supposedly friends with, quote unquote, that are on my social media feeds. They've never scrubbed a toilet in their life. They've never cleaned a bathroom. They're showing off, these beachfront properties, these illustrious vacations, and their guns and their fast cars and their 5-star Michelin cuisine, their meals, and they're just riding the coattails of what their parents or what they were born into. And I can't hate on you for that. You didn't choose to be born with the silver spoon. But what's not being advertised, what's not going to be on my feed is the real deal. The people that are changing diapers, that are cleaning up their house, that are barely making ends meet, that are behind on a car payment, that are struggling to pay rent. That's us. That's who this show is for. Because I've been to the mountaintop of Hollywood. I've seen it. I've traveled the world. And I used to feel entitled, like I should be further along. Why do I still have to put up with this lower class, middle class? And it's a mentality. If you've never seen how to handle money, if you haven't studied how to handle money, what I've learned after coming into thousands and thousands of dollars and seeing thousands and thousands of dollars rotate in and out of my life, and that's nothing compared to what's on the way, what's here, what's happening. But I'm glad I went through those hard times, that I saw the highs and I felt the lows, because I got to learn through trial and error what it takes to live sustainably, to invest and capitalize on my money. And that's one thing I noticed in the Bible, reading the New Testament. I just finished up John. Was it the book of John? Yeah, it was it took me a couple of years to get through John. So I was reading the last few chapters. And especially in John chapter 16, Jesus references a woman giving birth and how there are these pains, these labor pains that are insurmountable, almost unbearable. But once the baby is born, we the mother, she dismisses those pains. She forgives it. She's not holding on to that resentment because the gift of what she just bore is in her hands. I think that's where I'm at. I don't know about anybody else, but I have to, I don't have to. I choose to. I choose to see the silver lining. I choose to see the good, that's going to come from these dire times. And that's not easy. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm some saint. It's a constant struggle. So today, we're discussing the great battle of 2020. My battle, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, as I faced off with COVID-19 and alcoholism. Welcome to the Rhetorical Sake.
If you haven't done so already, go ahead and check out erhunter.live. That's erhunter.live. That is where you can find more about your host, E.R. Hunter, aka Earth, and our organization, Extra Resources That Help Earth, and that's Earth without the A. You can also review, order, read his great literary work, God Sent Dog. The story about how this puppers that's sitting between his legs rescued him, opened his eyes, and inspired him to change the way he was living. Also, Chasing God Alcoholically. This is a personal reflection on spirituality and early recovery. There have been groups and rehabs that ordered this book, and they actually lead sessions from various chapters of what has been written in Chasing God Alcoholically. So, Earth, Extra Resources That Help, we're inspiring, we're impacting, we're relating, and more importantly, hopefully, we're bringing people closer to their true, authentic selves. So thank you once again for joining us here on the Rhetorical Sake. Let's jump into episode 38, The Great Battle of 2020. Welcome to the show.
So Sunday, December 20th, I woke up and I had been on like a week-long bender. Like I had deliberately chosen to drink like consistently out of pure stress, out of pure worry, out of fear. There was a lot of fear leading up to the end of 2020. And I think a lot of people can relate to unemployment, capital, my finances drying up. A lot of people facing that, bills piling up, the holidays. As a only child, as a young adult, as a man, as a black man, as an alcoholic, as a substance abuser, I hate the holidays. I legitimately, I can hate the holidays. I can see them. I can argue that it's just some pagan festivities, but it was a lot of pressure building up. It was like a crock pot. It was like a tea kettle, and it was beginning to whistle. And what do I do? What do I know how to cope? So, I had like a week sober, and I've been doing that since my buddy Alex died. Like I had a couple of weeks, and then, I found out some news about something else. Then I found a voicemail from him a month before he died, and then I found out, how he was found. So all these excuses, and how do I cope? I drank. I've been doing it for like the last decade. I remember sitting at graduation. I hadn't seen a buddy of mine. He sat right next to me. I was late, and they were already like processing in. And I was like, dude, like I can't find H, Hunter's last name. He's like, that doesn't matter. He's like, just sit next to me. So we're talking. I'm like, where you been? And he's like, I was in rehab. And I was like, oh, snap. And he was like, yeah, think about it, man. We've been going like this for like 7 years. Because by then I was like 24. And he was right. Like I'd been drinking since I was 17. 24. He's like, we've been going like this for 7 years. I'm 31 now. I am 31 years old. 14 years. What is that, 14? 17 plus the 10 plus 3. 13. 13 years. And I'm on day 13. Whoa. So, there's some eye-openers. You got to be grateful for the people that tell you the truth. Ooh, drinking hot tea. I'm in a press. I push for the hot tea. If you got COVID or the flu or you're sick, crank that tea. I sit with like 2 hydro flasks, so they keep the water hot while I'm in the room. But we're going to get into that. We're going to get into the isolation, the quarantining, the symptoms. But that Sunday, December 20th, I had to stop drinking because what I didn't want to do was go back to hallucinating, like detoxing so bad where I hallucinate. So I knew I was right on the cusp where it's like, okay, I can stop. I can withdraw on my own. I don't need to go to a hospital or, a detox center. And all those, like, I feel so bad. I feel so bad for people in the same boat as me these days because, with the pandemic and all this social distancing, it makes it challenging to decide, do I need to commit myself? Do I need to be admitted somewhere and risk potential exposure? Are they even accepting people, you know? So there's a lot of confusion, a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. And, you know, you guys, I'm not here to act like some saint. I'm here to tell my story, because if 2020 taught me anything, is tomorrow is not promised. And if my young life has taught me anything, is I could care less about what you think of me. What I hope is that you know that I love you. And so, you know, you could call me a drunk, call me whatever, but at least I have the cojones to share my story and not board up or hide it and live in darkness. I'm not here to do that, and I don't have anybody else to talk to, so thanks for tuning in. I also hate putting out like a fake image or a facade, like we don't struggle. I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. Stop all that. Stop all that is what I tell myself. I don't know if you guys seen that video. I think it was on Reddit. This girl starts to do like the WAP dance in front of her dad, and her dad's like this super jacked, shirtless man, and her brother's filming, and the dad's like, stop, stop. And I started talking to myself like that. Even if I like yell at my dog, but I love the way he was mad. He was like, stop it, you know. And sometimes you gotta slap your consciousness. Like you gotta just rock that frontal cortex and be like, stop. Stop ideating, stop worrying, stop fearing, stop thinking that drinking is going to solve your problems, because you're going to wake up with even more issues, with even more responsibilities, with even more to do on your plate. I really enjoy sobriety because I can take care of business today. So when I want to go ham for a few days, I do, or I did. I didn't utilize any tools, any coping mechanisms, and that's selfish. A sponsor once told me one time, somebody told him, they're like, you want to know why you drink? Because you're fucking selfish. And it's true. I mean, there's a certain point where if you're binge drinking day after day, you're a nuisance to society. You're a danger, you know? So just, I thank God for the grace of God. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve to be here right now. And that's why I got to share it. And when, you know, my happiness comes at the expense of others or society, we got a problem. That's a problem. So, breaking down my detox. So I'm just talking about some common things that I go through when I withdraw from alcoholism, and understand that the onset of COVID symptoms, I don't know if the exposure was from a few weeks ago. I don't know if the exposure was from, I don't know, and I don't care. I'm not here to point the blame at anybody. I hate to hear that, you know, families are falling apart because one person gets COVID, and then other people in the household get COVID, and then people are pointing the blame at each other, blaming one another. Look, nobody, none of us, unless you know, you're a mad scientist, you know, that created this disease in a lab. There's blaming each other for exposure, you know, when you've been going for 9-10 months, you know, protecting yourself, living isolated, quarantining, face mask, hand sanitizer, Lysol, you know, wiping down your shopping cart, you know. At some point, you know, there's that risk every time you walk out the door, every time you walk out your room, every time you interact with even the people you live with, you're taking a risk. That's why we have faith. That's why we have grace. That's why we have mercy. And that's why our bodies are made to heal. So to point the blame at each other is pointless. It's futile. But I was angry. I was angry once I realized, like, when I got the results, which would be a few days later, I was pissed. And I noticed that when people test positive, like, they get angry. It's almost like you got a death sentence and you get mad. You're like, why me? Like, how could this happen? And you lash out. You want to. And I get irritable when I'm detoxing. And I'll tell you why. The number one symptom for me, the number one withdrawal factor is the hot flashes and the chills. Now, I know I sound like some menopause lady, you know, with the hot flash thing, but Oh my gosh. For 2-3 days, I'm burning up. I'm on fire. And then all of a sudden I'm freezing. So you put on a jacket and you're sweating, but you're cold. Take off the jacket because you're burning up, but you're freezing, you're shivering. It's insane. And when I researched that, that's due to arteries. Alcohol rushes to your skin. It expands your arteries. So when your body is fiending for alcohol, afterwards your arteries are dilating and the blood's rushing to my skin. And that's a big, big factor to me because it makes me feel, it can drive you insane. It can drive you literally with your temperature fluctuating up and down. It's monotonous. And the bad part about it is I'm used to it. That's light work for me. That's how many detoxes I've gone through. I expect that. I anticipate it. There's the nausea. Nausea's not so bad for me, but the fact is I don't have an appetite. And my grandmother, she's seen me detox many a times on her couch, and I'm grateful for that. A lot of people don't have that. And there were times where I thought I was going to have a seizure, and she just had to tell me, sit down, calm down, it's going to pass. And sometimes you just need that person to metaphysically, figuratively hold your hand through it. But I wouldn't eat. I don't eat for like a week after I come down going through that. And I've learned that doesn't help my situation. I kind of have to force myself to eat, to force that digestive system, that metabolism, to force my body to do what it's made to do, which is to funnel these nutrients, allocate them, rather than forcing it to dig into the crevices of my exterior and draw out whatever vitamins might be left, even though I've depleted myself of those by binge drinking for weeks or a week at a time. So I force myself to eat whatever I can. When I do get a craving, I pursue it. A lot of times it's a sandwich or it's a salty soup. So once I get it, and by the time I make the sandwich or I heat up the soup, I'm not really hungry anymore. But since it's made, I do it. If it's a bite, every 30 minutes, an hour, you just gotta, I force it down. And the cravings, they hit like a wave. So when they do, I ride it. Black Surfer, baby, episode 21. Oh, man. So now, the mental issues. Now, I wish they would have told you that on the bottle of alcohol. Nobody ever sat me down and told me, if you drink enough of this, you will go crazy. This will mess you up when you stop. And the racing thoughts, the anxiety, and as the older I get, the more independent, the young adulthood, that anxiety, it accumulates. It gets worse and worse. Worse, never better. So be mindful of that. What I worried about in my 20s, it's not the same about what I'm worrying about now. That's for sure. So the racing thoughts, it's the alcohol factor that we don't talk about that. A lot of people, I was talking to a friend on Instagram, and he was saying, I get that too after a weekend of drinking, that Monday, and you're just anxious. You're scared of everything. It's and I'm dude, what's going on? How come nobody talks about it? He's people just don't talk about it. People don't want to talk about it, So you're not alone in that if you've ever experienced it. The racing thoughts, some people have paranoia. Some people are looking out the windows, thinking people are coming after them or something like that. For me, it's just a matter of maintaining my stream of conscious, and I can't maintain it at that time. It's just rampant. It's rampant, and that could be debilitating. It makes it nearly impossible to function as a rational adult, and it's not. I'm not rational at that point, and I wasn't. Just inundated with responsibilities that I've been running from that whole week or month or however long I've been on a bender, from the emails and the voicemails and the bills and those people I'm accountable to. We're only accountable to those that we allow ourselves to be accountable to. So in my opinion, and after going through this over and over and seeing, not necessarily that some people like, yeah, they get sick of you, but some people never had your back to begin with. They just were kind of there to like see you fall. Like they were waiting for you to give them something to talk about. So I just advise you to choose those people you're accountable to wisely. Choose who you're accountable to wisely. It's hard for me to work for people I don't respect. It's hard for me to work for homophobes and bigots, people that want to rub your back and caress your shoulder while you're trying to do your simple get well job. I don't work for those people anymore, and that's why we do the show, because I'm building equity in my own name. Now, going in tandem with anxiety for me is insomnia. It's like when I drink, I end up passing out. And so I wake up and I'm like, oh yeah, I got a good night's sleep. But the thing is, naturally, you don't sleep well when you're drunk. Alcohol actually inhibits you from entering like that REM state that your mind and body need to heal and recover from whatever toxins or trauma you've experienced that day. So when you don't allow yourself to do that, you're actually living in a delusional state. So it's frustrating when you finally stop drinking and decide, to put one foot in front of the other and try to, get it together and live right. And I can't sleep. And it's all I want to do. Sleepy time tea, two tea bags, sleepy time tea ain't working, taking sleep aid. It ain't working. And I really, the melatonin, L-theanine, that I noticed does help with anxiety and insomnia. It definitely helps with the feel-good feeling. It helps me not stress so much. So that with melatonin, I've seen it work. However, it's like the more you use it, the more you build up a tolerance, like with alcohol or any drug. So it's frustrating too, because those moments where I am falling asleep and I'm finally shutting my eyes, I start to get these crazy, terrible nightmares. And I'm not even all the way asleep. It's like my mind is just now shutting down, but it jumps to these lucid dreams that are absolutely terrifying. I had one in October. I was in a van, like a passenger van, or like a ProMaster, like a Ram ProMaster or a Ford Transit. I don't know. But it was like I was being escorted somewhere, or it was like this public transportation. But outside, it was just this winter, like all the trees were barren. It looked like a nuclear fallout. Like it was just this post-apocalyptic world. And my grandmother was sitting next to me, and we were talking, and the van stops, and this portly white gentleman gets on. He's not smiling, kind of blankly looking. And we decided, we should probably say something since he's sitting, so close to us. And we're like, oh, hi, what's your name? And he's like, I am Eloy. And we're like, Eloy? And in the dream, my grandmother's like, doesn't that mean God? And, I know there's that Eloi, Eloi, what Jesus says on the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me? I don't know why my mind, if it was my mind or if God was trying to tell me something, all of a sudden in the dream, like it just goes black and I'm in a sleep paralysis. Something's holding my arms and I'm barely able to scream the name of Jesus, just scream for this thing to get off of me. And I come to screaming the name of Jesus, and that's normal. Unfortunately, like, these terrifying sleep paralysis, dark nightmares are normal for me in the initial stages of detox. So I can't breathe from COVID. Like my nose is stuffed up. My mouth is dry. I'm coughing. My lungs, there's like this phlegm. I don't know if I have a fever. And I will say Sunday, when I decided to stop drinking, I had to run to the restroom. And it was really weird because I got this hot flash that seemed to surge from my feet and run and course its way through me up to my face. And I thought I had to throw up, but it was just like something came out of me, like not physical. And it was so hot. It was so warm. And I thought I was going to pass out. It was terrifying, but I was so grateful it had came and gone so fast, as intense as it was, but after that, I was like, okay, this detox is on, but something else. And I think that might have just been the one fever. I think that was the fever. You know, you get that fever when you get sick of COVID. I think that was the onset, and that was the realization, like something is different about this time. So, yeah, and then like I have dreams like I'm partying with my buddy from college. He lives about 2 hours away from me now, and I keep having dreams about like us having a house party. And in the dream, he actually had a younger brother, and then I don't know, some guy I knew from rehab in the dream was like tweaking bad, like on meth or something, and he attacks me, and I just couldn't defend myself. And so I for me, that's the nightmare, is not being able to protect myself. I noticed that there's a common theme there: house parties, family gatherings, and an inability to defend myself. Those are nightmares for me, and also meeting God, and it's like terrifying. So I don't know. I don't think that was God revealing Himself to me. I think that was the enemy or some type of spirit coming through. And I will say, this is spiritual warfare, and that is what I do know when it comes to detoxing from any drug or alcohol. It is spiritual warfare, and I say this. Spirits, demons, they are territorial. And initially in October, I decided to sweep the devil out of the house, and I just cleaned up. I was cleaning, and I started to get under my bed. I started to do my room, sweeping. And as I'm doing that, I see my dog, and he is shaking. He is shaking terribly from anxiety. And I am like, Irie, what is your problem? Like, what is wrong? And he's like looking past me, like just terrified. And I'm looking in his eye, because I wanted to see, like, what are you looking at? And when I look in the reflection of his eye, I see me, and I see somebody standing next to me. And they look like something out of a horror movie. It looked like this, like no eyes, these big eye sockets, like this skeletal face, and like this straggly hair, like a scary ass ghost. And I know that Irie could see it, and it was right next to me, and I was like, oh hell no. So I finally got under the bed, and the more I got under the bed, Irie actually just had to leave the room. And I realized that something had manifested itself in the same spot that I had been doing my worst. It had gotten comfortable, and it did not like that I was removing it. And there is so much more to that detox. That's going to be a whole episode in itself, because that was definitely a long white light moment, and it's a whole episode in itself. I can't wait to deliver that and to tell you guys about that experience, because I know heaven's real. I know God is real. I know angels and demons are real. And I know that we, as expressions of God's love, they're vying for us. This is spiritual warfare. Your soul is worth it. So, a lot of people, some people are agnostic or atheist. Man, I think I know my worth. I know my worth, and as an expression of God's love, as an extension of Him, as something that He's breathed life into, that holds value, that holds weight, and there are opposing forces that can use that weight, that value, for their objectives, and I'd rather be in line with that grand holy army that's going to win in the end, and that's why I jumped out of Hollywood. I left where I was at, and I'm not really running back towards it. I'm not dying for fame. I'm not dying for that status. I'm not dying to see my name in lights. What I will die for is my God, and to hold on to that faith. And we are seeing, like, as this world progresses, I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to get really hard to hold on to what we believe in. So I encourage myself. I don't know about you, but I encourage myself, get ready for tribulation, because they are killing Christians in other parts of the world. They are torturing people that will not denounce Christ. It is happening, and it might not be on your Facebook feed, but it's out there. If you wanna find it, it's there, and it's not something we like to talk about because we're nice and comfortable here in the United States, in the first world countries, but it's happening. And with technology and the way things are going, it's surreal, but highly anticipated. And so there's really no reason not to be prepared. If you're aware, to live in ignorance, I think that'd be foolish. It has been foolish for me, and it's almost cost me my life. So I know I'm here for a reason. I know I'm here for a purpose, and I'm glad, I'm 13 days sober, and I'm out of this. What I'm going to lead into next is the delirium tremens. And I learned from Joe Rogan's podcast, he was interviewing a doctor regarding the DTs. And like I discussed before, alcohol prevents us from properly sleeping, from properly resting. So when we live like that and our brain is not healing, our body's not healing, we're not actually sleeping and resting, we're living in a delusion. We're not really perceiving reality as it is, especially when we're consuming alcohol and drinking. So when you stop drinking, when I stop drinking and I have the shakes, those are the DTs. That's delirium tremens. And the shakes are just a symptom of what my mind is going through because my body doesn't understand what reality is. So it is shaking. My mind is shaking because it is having to readjust the dial, the perspective, the focus, and relearn what's real and what's not. And so reality is hitting hard when I'm having the DTs, and I'm literally shaking because I haven't slept properly, and the brain can't determine fantasy. It can't determine reality from fantasy or facade. And it's the worst, man. It could be the worst. And so you're having insomnia, you're having these bad dreams, and then you're having DTs, and now I'm coughing, I'm hacking, and I'm scared. I feel tightness in my chest, and I've discussed before how I had myocardial infarction in January of 2020, at the end of January, and then I had went back to the ER early February because I could feel my heart, this discomfort. So I have to take care of myself, and I try to do that. I got up to 5 miles running before I went on the bender. I was running 5 miles 3 or 4 times a week and never ran that far before. So I'm loving, I'm digging it, and then, to put myself through that, dangerous. That's a me thing. It's, thinking that that's what I deserve. I deserve to beat myself up, to suffer. And that's simply not true. It's not true. So if you're like me, I hope that you don't sabotage yourself because you think that's what you deserve. What you deserve is love, divine love, self-care. And, the COVID thing really, I felt like I had a cold, and I had gone to urgent care because, oh my gosh, let me tell you. And I'll be honest, there is this, this emptiness I feel, and I like that because it's I know I'm a vessel, and so whatever spiritual gifts, anointings, I'm opening myself up to that healing factor. But what I'm used to doing is filling that with substitutes, weed, alcohol. And so even as I'm doing this right now, I'm itching kind of for a drink because that's what I know. That's what I've known. I know in my head, can't do that. But my body is come on, man, it's the weekend, New Year's Day. Let's get it. What's a care? You don't care. These people don't care about you, People meeting on Zoom, on AA meetings, whatever. They don't care. They say they called. They're not calling. And it happens. I'm glad I've gone through it over and over. I have no expectations. So I do. But I'm trying to practice not having expectations. So I can't really get let down. But for me, I noticed my immune system went into overdrive. As soon as I had these symptoms for COVID, my lips were swelling up. That Saturday leading into that Sunday, that night I woke up, I was scared because I had learned that when my lip swells up, that's anaphylactic shock. And now my top lip was swollen, and both of my bottom and top lip were burning constantly. And so I knew I was having an allergic reaction. I did not know to what. Like, what could this be? Why? And the scary part is that anaphylactic shock can lead to your throat swelling and closing, so you can't breathe. That's some people carry epinephrine, a pin for something like that, and I'm thinking I'm going to invest in a couple EpiPens just to have on hand, because it's terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. And then once I tested for COVID that Monday, the 21st. I got my results back Wednesday morning. And when I got the results back, my symptoms were starting, the cold and flu. I kind of already knew. Like, I knew I had it. And I lost my smell. I was sitting watching TV, and I had like this eucalyptus lotion, and I realized, like, wait a minute, like, I can't smell. And I had eaten a sandwich, and like, the sandwich just wasn't good. I was like, what is going on? Like, usually this sandwich is banging. And then I went up and I opened some essential oils, and I started sniffing. I could not smell citronella, eucalyptus. And I was like, oh no. Like, so it was a harsh reality. I'm like, before I even got the results, like, losing my taste and smell, and that, I was angry. That's when the anger really set in. I remember talking to my mom on the phone, and I was super irritable because it was this harsh reality. And I'm like, well, if it can affect my nervous system, because that's what it's doing when it's taking away your smell and your taste, that's your nervous system. Why not blindness or deaf, your hearing, so it was terrifying. It was terrifying. But at the same time, it required a lot of mental strength. It required a lot of spiritual strength, practicing faith and knowing that I'm going to get through it. And that, I think, was a contributing factor to my healing process for sure. And it has taken almost 2 weeks. My lips are still burning. I had a Zoom meeting with my doctor, who I love. He's a great guy. And he's giving me some meds. The allergic reaction, it's just staving off. It's going day by day, and I think that is a sign, one, that I did have a virus. They say it could have been aspirin. A lot of people don't know you can develop an allergy to generic aspirin. Because of my heart, I had been taking aspirin, baby aspirin, to stave off having another heart attack. But you can also develop an allergy to it. And, it's just like all these things, like, they don't talk about. Like, that's not on the bottle. Like, you might develop an allergy to this aspirin that'll cause your throat to swell, and that will prevent you from breathing, which thus prevents you from living. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for the healing process. I'm grateful that my body, it went into overdrive. And that's what that anaphylactic shock was. My immune system trying to fight this virus, trying to fight that allergic reaction, so much so that my immune system was actually hurting me. That's what anaphylaxis is, anaphylactic shock. So dealing with all that, it has been a fight. It was a battle, and it still is. Right now, it definitely is. The all in all, the end goal is that when I die, whenever that day comes, however it may come, that I can see my God, I can see my Christ, and know and say that I fought the good fight of faith. And I want to help everyone else fight their fight. And we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against dark forces. And it's so true. I didn't see COVID coming. I don't see it floating through the air. I'm fighting this thing that I can't see, but it is affecting me, and you're threatening my life. And when you start messing with my life, and I look at my dog, you're messing with my dog, you're messing with my child, with my kin. Now I want to fight. Now the gloves are coming off. So I'm going to wrestle with this thing. I'm going to fight this thing. If you say I could do it, you say I even got a fighting chance, and I love the movies about the underdog. I love the movies about the underdog, I get that mentality when I'm running, I'm just like, they said you couldn't. They said you won't. They said you can't, and you do it. And it hurts, and it's that pain. And it's also that reward. And it's learning. I'm learning how to enjoy the reward, the satisfaction of completion, of victory, without libations, without binge drinking, without numbing myself to the healing process. So, with that, I don't know if I'm going to include it. I have a little couple sound snippets from someone close to me that also had COVID. I might tag those in here at the end of the episode. But thank you guys so much. I'm glad I could just check in and describe where I've been for the last 2 weeks and what I've been doing a little bit. And that's just such a broad summary. But more so, I wanted to let people know how hard this can be. And regardless of what you're going through, you may be going through multiple battles at one time. You're not alone, and we got this. Thank you so much for joining me on the Rhetorical Sake. Stay tuned, and we will talk soon. I love you guys. Ciao. She might be not too thrilled I'm doing this, but it was her idea in the first place, so I'm just gonna do it. Y'all got a snippet of it in the front of the episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you the powerhouse, the light in my life that has been with me through thick and thin, regardless of whatever drug or alcohol I'm withdrawing from. She holds me down like 4 flat tires. My mother, the actress, the thespian, the entrepreneur, the hustler, the one and only, Trina Lloyd. This is her little video diary, her journal through COVID. Here we go. Enjoy.
Hello, my name is Trina Lloyd.
Okay, this is day 1 of my journey to full well health in the name of Jesus, because that's the only way. It's the good Lord going through this. I feel fine. I have no symptoms, but it's all the more reason why I felt it's important to send this out, because you can feel just fine, but it's always in the back of your mind when you get the diagnosis, who could I have affected had I not taken the time and just did the precautions and getting tested. It was my 3rd test that week. So I feel pretty good that, as me and my son talk, I can narrow it down to 2 days and maybe 2 different spots that I could have been exposed. But I just thank God that, my intuition told me, get checked. I had just had an appointment on Thursday with my doctor, and they give me a test before my procedure. And on Friday I spoke with my doctor because she was just following up with me how I was doing after the procedure. And she happened to mention that she was leaving out on vacation and she was going to take her a test. So it was just good to know that everything went well there. So I'm pretty confident that on Friday or on Saturday, that had to be the exposure, because I spoke with her on Friday and no negative news on her part after she saw me on Thursday. So happy about that. I'm just going to take this journey because I know the good Lord is going to go through it with me. Thank God for my son, who's been a godsend. He wrote a book, God Sent Dog, but God Sent my godsend son. But hey, I'm feeling great. I thank God. I'm just going to go through this journey, and I just hope this helps somebody. Just because you feel fine or feel great, get checked. You could save a life. You could be the life that saves. Peace out. Talk to y'all tomorrow. So it's day 3, and I still feel fine. Thank God for that. Just basically happy to be alive, symptom free, but it's just you got to go through it. Just working through it. Okay, it's day 4, and I'm feeling good. Everything seems to be going well. Had a little cough, but I'm getting a little more sleep at night, so that's good. Something very encouraging. Yesterday, the Lord gave me a scripture, 2 Timothy 2 and 11 and 12. And so today I was just obedient to the word, and I got up and I read the word. Very encouraging scriptures about enduring. And so I was very happy about that because, the Lord just gave me the scripture. And as it reads from Timothy, the 2nd chapter, the 11th verse, here is a trustworthy saying: if we died with him, we will also live with him. 12, if we endure, we will also reign with him. If we disown him, he will also disown us. 13, if we are faithless, he will remain faithful, for he cannot disown himself. I thought that was a beautiful, enduring scripture. It sure encouraged me today, and just let me know that this journey, I'm not alone, and that God already gives us the tools and the ability to go forward. It was already in his word, if we endure. So I just tell everybody, God will bring you through anything. Be encouraged. I'm encouraged, and I'm still feeling good. Be blessed. Hey everyone. Today it's day 5, and I just thank God because I'm feeling okay. Got a slight little cough, but not a lot. No fever still. My Bible verse was Joshua 3 and 9. I'm speaking of the Lord driving out those out 3 and 9. Come here and listen to the words of the Lord your God. This is now. You will know the living God is among you, and that he will certainly drive out before you. And he was talking about how he was parting the sea for the Ark of the Covenant to come. So, again, just a message of encouragement for me, knowing that, God would drive out anything that needs to be driven out, whether it's in your life, in your home, in your thoughts, and he'll make a way if you believe in him. And I just thank God, for everything that he's done. Today I got some sad news that a friend of the family passed away, but I'm pressing on because in gratitude you get to see how many things God places in your life and how beautifully they develop over time, and just being at peace, because sometimes people will pass and you have those questions about, will you meet again? But in this case, I know this person knew the Lord. So sad for the loss of the presence, but happy that he resides with our Lord. It's hard for me because it's believed that it was from COVID, but my God can do all things, and this curse upon us of COVID, there's a reason, and it's just going to be if nothing else, to show that God is greater. Just stay encouraged and just know I am well because of the Lord. And stay well in the Lord. Be encouraged. Hey everyone, it's day 10 and I'm still feeling great. Temperature is 96.9. No real symptoms or anything. Slight, very, very slight congestion. Today's Bible verse was Jeremiah 17:10, and it reads, I, the Lord, search the heart and examine the mind to reward a man according to his conduct, according to what his deeds deserve. I thought that was very encouraging to know that God is a just and able God, and he surely proved himself for me because I've gone through this, and I'm on day 10. And thank God, nothing serious, no severe symptoms, not even a fever. So God is great, Won't he do it? Well, stay encouraged, because I am encouraged. And God bless.
Hey, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Those were the first 6 or 7 days of my mother enduring COVID, and I'm so grateful that she decided to share that with us. So, yeah, she's good. Tested negative after about 10, 14 days, and she's doing just fine. So, thank you guys. I wanted to share that with you, and yeah, we're going to continue to grow this thing. Hit me up, erhunter.live. That's erhunter.live. I can't wait to hear from you guys. earthmusic@outlook.com. SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple. Subscribe, rate, review the show, follow, and share. All right, God Sent Dog, Chasing God Alcoholically. Those are my books on Amazon. Oh, man, what a day, what a day. Welcome to 2021, everybody. All right, ciao.
Well, I loved you so much, gave you all you ever needed, my freedom and my peace. Well, I wrote a brand new song, yeah, this goes out to you, you and all your imperfections, everything you put me through. Want you to know that I made it, these sharks swallow me whole, but I made it. I never went to the club, hoping to fall in love. Only came for the drink, boosting my self-esteem. And you could be a million miles away, and I would still wrap you in my arms. Cause I love you, yeah I love you. You could be a million miles away, and I would still wrap you in my arms. Cause I love you. A million miles away, and I would still wrap you